All right, here we are between Life and the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It took a little bit longer to get this video out than expected, but we are finally going to answer the question of how good are the Wave 2 tracks and how do they fare in relation to Wave 1. In this video, I'm going to break down all the Wave 2 tracks in detail and describe what I like and dislike about each of them. Obvious disclaimer should be obvious, this is my personal opinion, and it's all supposed to be in good fun, so if you disagree with something that I say, please try not to take it too personally. Even better, let me know down in the comments what you think and whether you agree or disagree with my opinions. Also, make sure to stick around till the end of the video because I recorded this footage a long time ago, like right after the Wave 2 track dropped, and my opinions on a lot of the courses have changed since then, so you're going to want to stick around for that. Hope you all enjoy. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and get started with our track ranking video. So the way that this is going to work is I have right now, this is a tier maker list that I created that has all the DLC tracks in it. And what I have filled in right now is the ranking for the DLC tracks only based on what I talked about in my previous video, which I will link to at the top of the screen over there. What I want to do first, this is going to be kind of broken down into two parts. So the first part, I want to actually make some updates to this list that I put together last time. So my opinions on some of the Wave 1 tracks has changed after playing them online so much. And after I talk about that, we're going to move into talking about the Wave 2 tracks and what I think about those tracks and why I like or dislike certain ones. You might already know how I feel about some of the tracks if you've watched any of my streams. But hopefully there are some surprises and hopefully the reasoning makes sense. If you disagree with any of my reasoning, feel free to let me know why down in the comments. Okay, so we are going to start by rearranging some of the Wave 1 tracks, and we're going to start with Ninja Hideaway. So Ninja Hideaway is a track that I mentioned as being one of my favorite tracks in the game. I ranked it as number 3, just behind Wild Woods and Mount Wario. And Ninja Hideaway, I think, is a very fun track to time trial. It's a really enjoyable track to play. It's really rewarding to learn the strats for that track on. But my tier ranking, my list, is based on how likely I am to pick the track were they to show up online. So with Ninja Hideaway, part of the problem is that online, the course just kind of sucks. And the reason why is that there's one major shortcut in the track, which is the one through the piranha plant cardboard cutout. And when you take that shortcut, if you open it up, so if you use a mushroom, for example, to do it, you open it up for everybody who's behind you. And so you're using your items and you can actually open the track up for somebody that doesn't have anything. So it's like, you know, when you try and take the shortcut to benefit yourself, you're also indirectly helping other people. And so that makes the shortcuts a lot less desirable to take. And the other thing is that when you're doing a shroomless version of the shortcut, so it's like the other thing is you can actually do that shortcut shroomless, but again, the problem is that it's like it's all risk and, you know, you're getting some reward, but if you mess it up, then all you've done is just, you know, help out the people behind you. So yeah, in general, I'd say the course, it's definitely fun to time trial, but it's not that fun online. And the other thing is right after that shortcut, there is a section for the glider. And the glider, I always just get destroyed there, whether it be from target shocks or red shells or whatever. It's just like that glider is so long that it provides a huge opportunity for you to just get wrecked. But my Ninja Hideaway, I would definitely put it in B tier. I can't, you know, I'd say probably, I don't want to put it below Paris. We'll put it here. So kind of like upper B tier, maybe mid B tier. All right, and the next course that we are going to move around is Coconut Mall. Now, all right, when I made my original track ranking video, I said that I think Coconut Mall, if it wasn't as broken as it was, it would be an easy S tier course. And this was back in my naive days before I realized how awful the course can actually be sometimes. And I'm not even talking about how broken it is, although that is actually true. The problem with Coconut Mall, it's like a very good like running course. So like if you know when you're playing a course that like doesn't have very many shortcuts, it's very good if you already started in first. But the problem is that like if because the course is so broken, you can run into situations where like you start off in first and then you just drop back because you missed the stair trick, and then you know you kind of defeat the entire purpose of having played a running track to begin with. And the other problem is that shortcut, it's like not impactful at all, and it's very high risk because what happens is you're going around. If you go up on the right side of the track, then you go into that little like clothing store on the right to actually do the mushroom cut. But the problem is that there's like a very thin path to the left of it, and so that shortcut, I genuinely don't think I've ever taken the shortcut without a star and not gotten destroyed by something, either like shells or stars or plants or something. I can never get that shortcut successfully just because of like how tight it is to actually get into it in the first place. And actually, it's funny because I find when people pick that course, I do actually find myself thinking like, but why though? Why are we picking this track so much? This course is like actually kind of shitty. And so I'm going to put it in D tier above Coconut Mountain, Chocolate Mountain, all the way from A tier to D tier, because I just have such an awful time playing that track. I don't think I've ever had a really good time playing the track online. So, you know, that's probably going to be my most controversial pick, I think, because a lot of people seem to really like Coconut Mall. I just don't. You know, I gotta. You know, apologies for having my crappy opinions, but you know, it is what it is. So you got to deal with it. This is my list. If you want to make your own, go for it, and let me know why my opinions suck in the comments. All right, so now we're going to move on to the Wave 2 tracks. We're going to go in order just like last time, and we're going to start with New York Minute. It's got really good music, and it's got like a really cool vibe. Like I like the way the track looks, and I like the way that it sounds like when you're playing on it. But it's like, I don't know. It seems it's a very forgettable course to me for whatever reason. Nothing about it really stands out. Like, so let's get to that. Let's get to that in just a sec. But like, in terms of the actual gameplay, when you're on New York Minute, there's basically no shortcuts. The shortcuts that do exist are, again, kind of like not very impactful. So if you get hit early on, it's very hard to come back. And I don't know why, but there's just like there's like buses and Goombas and light posts and all this stuff that just is in your way when you're trying to navigate the course, and it makes it very frustrating to play because the track is so slippery. And normally, like slippery tracks, like if you think of Sherbet Land, or as we'll get into a little bit later, Snowland or Neo Bowser, they're also slippery courses, but there's not like things in your way. You just need to take good lines and then you're good to go. But with New York Minute, it's like there's just so many things in your way that like you can easily run into if you don't take good lines, and if you don't like specifically prepare for it, that it makes it very frustrating to actually play online and to time trial as well. But yeah, I mean, other than that, you know, like I said, it's a fairly forgettable course. There's not really that much to talk about, so I'm gonna basically just put it in C tier. I'm gonna put it below. I think it's fair to put it below Toad Circuit and Sky Garden. I would rather play Toad Circuit and Sky Garden because I know that if something goes wrong, I can come back. I think New York Minute is a really well-designed course just in terms of how it looks. But just in terms of gameplay, I can't see myself ever really wanting to play it that much online. All right, moving on to Mario Circuit 3. I have seen people dislike this track. I've seen a lot of opinions that this track is like kind of shitty. I honestly think the course is very underrated. So one thing that I will say is that it looks kind of janky. So if you compare Mario Circuit 3 to Donut Plains 3, which were both SNES courses, like Donut Plains 3 is just like miles ahead of Mario Circuit 3 in terms of like graphical quality and stuff like that. So it's not even really close. I don't have this complaint too much about the Wave 2 courses because I think that the Wave 2 courses were specifically designed not to have this sort of hyper realism, but the fact that it's like if you put Donut Plains 3 and Mario Circuit 3 right next to each other, which somebody did and sent it to me on Twitter, thank you very much for that. It looks kind of jank, but I want to say that because that's really one of the only major complaints I have about the track, because everything else about it is really fun. I think one of my favorite things about Mario Circuit 3 is it's a course that really rewards good fundamentals. So a lot of the tracks in this game, like, you know, even like Sydney Sprint, which we'll get into later, is a really, I really enjoy that course. But with courses like Sydney Sprint or Mount Wario, or let me think of another one, like Coconut Mall, for example, when you're playing these courses, you like need to learn the course and you need to learn the lines to play the course effectively. Like you cannot, if you just pick up the game, not if you just pick up the game, if you have like 1,000 hours in the game like I did when Wave 1 dropped, and you pick up Coconut Mall, you need to spend time learning the lines and learning how the course is set up. Otherwise, you just are going to have an awful time with it. But Mario Circuit 3, if you have 1,000 hours in Mario Circuit 3, you're going to get a good Mario Circuit 3 time like on one of your first attempts, because the course like really, and it's not because the course is easy, but it just really rewards good fundamentals. If you know how to play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you're going to have a much easier time on Mario Circuit 3. The other thing about it too is that it's one of the few courses in Wave 2 that I think rewards. A lot of courses in Wave 2 are like running tracks. So like Sydney Sprint, for example, New York Minute is another one, High Sundae. But like Mario Circuit 3 is one of those courses that it does reward bagging if that's something that you are trying to do, but it doesn't encourage it, at least in my experience so far, it doesn't encourage it so much to the point where it is like the strategy. So for example, if you think about like GBA Mario Circuit, like that one, it's like bagging is so powerful on that course that it's like if you're not bagging, you're almost playing the course incorrectly. And that's not the case for Mario Circuit 3. You can run the course, you can bag the course, and you can have a good time either way. And the thing is, like, there's so much off-road that, like, it actually makes mushrooms an item that I don't hate getting, which is very rare in this game. I've done the mushroom rant a lot of times on stream where it's like, I can't get anything else but mushrooms. But even if you get only mushrooms in this track, you can still have a good time with it. So I do appreciate the fact that, like, you don't have to drop back down all the way to 9th place to have a chance to win. So, you know, I don't have a whole lot else to say about Mario Circuit 3. I think I just think it's a really well-designed track that rewards people that know how to play the game, and I think that it rewards a lot of different play styles. So you can sort of, you know, pick your poison in terms of how you want to play the track. And so I think that if I had to pick it, this is where I get, I think, a little bit controversial, is that I honestly think that Mario Circuit 3 goes all the way up in A tier. It doesn't go above Shroom Ridge, because I think Shroom Ridge, it's like more difficult. I like difficult courses, and I think Mario Circuit 3 doesn't have that real difficulty. But I think that it's just a really solid all-around course that I would definitely, if it shows up, I would definitely pick it. I could see myself picking it over any of these ones. Like if it was Mario Circuit 3 Ninja Hideaway and Paris Promenade, I wouldn't find myself picking random. I'd probably find myself picking Mario Circuit 3. All right, moving on to Kalamari Desert. So I haven't played the track much online, but the little bit that I have played and how much time I spent time trialing it, I don't know, it kind of sucks. Like it's not, I wouldn't say that it's bad. It's just like it's very awkward to time trial. Now, before we get into that, one thing that I do want to say is I ranted a little bit about this in my Wave 2 analysis, like my trailer analysis video, but like the music, I don't know why they did what they did with the music. So if you go to like the N64 version, it has a very old Western kind of feel to it. And specifically, there's like this whistling bit that is designed specifically to mimic like what they used to do in like these old Western movies. And they replaced that with like brass, and I don't really know why they did that. It doesn't really fit with the rest of the track. And the weird thing is that they actually bring in, I think it's an ocarina actually, they bring in like this ocarina music towards the end of the Switch version. And it's like, why didn't they just use that instrument for the entire riff? It's just a really weird choice that I don't like it. I thought it might grow on me after a while, but it's just, I've never gotten used to it, and I just think it kind of sucks. It doesn't fit the track very well. But yeah, my opinions on the music might just be due to nostalgia. So I don't know, we'll see. Now, as far as the time trialing goes, or as far as playing the track goes, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily like a bad track. It's just, like I said, it's really awkward. There's a lot of turns where they're very wide and you feel like you want to build up super mini turbos, but they're not. Like the turns are so shallow that if you try and build up a super mini turbo, you'll run into the wall or hit the off-road. And so you have to do like multiple mini turbos, one right after the other, which is just a very weird thing to do in general. And it's funny because like if you go and check out my stream, my Wave 2 stream, when I was trying to figure out all the strats on my own, that's basically what I did. Is like there's this gigantic turn towards the end of the lap where I just do like a bunch of mini turbos, one right after the other. And I was like, there's no way that this is the right way to play the track. But it turns out, like, if you watch the world record from that day, that's exactly what they were doing. It's not what the world record does now because they use baby strats, but it was just like, it seemed like nobody really knew how to play the track. So it's just not my favorite. I don't know if I'd say it's bad, but it's just, again, it feels kind of gross to drive on. Now, one thing that I will say about playing online specifically that makes it really shitty is that when you go into the tunnel section, there's like, the tunnels are so narrow that you're basically guaranteed to get destroyed by items if you're not like in first place, especially if the train happens to be coming through at the time that you get there. Like I've had situations where people just load up both sides of the train track with bananas, and it's like you literally can't go anywhere without getting hit by something. So in general, it's like, it just kind of sucks for that reason. There's a lot of things about playing online that make it kind of janky in terms of being able to in terms of like getting hit by items. The lines are really weird. So yeah, I think if I had to put it somewhere, I would put it, I don't think it's bad, but like not for the same reason as Choco Mountain. What I would say about Kalamari Desert, one thing it does have going for it is that it does have some shortcuts that you can take, so you can, put yourself kind of ahead of the pack if you need to. So I would say that I would put it at the bottom of C tier. I don't know if I'd put it above New York Minute or not. There are like New York Minute's kind of like janky running track. Kalamari Desert's a little bit more janky in terms of, having some bagging stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it goes in D tier. If it shows up, I'm not like mad about it. Where like I would be with Coconut Mall or Chocolate Mountain. Like, why the hell are you guys picking these courses? Calamari Desert's more like, all right, let's get it over with. But yeah. Waluigi Pinball up next. So this is kind of a weird one because I mentioned that courses like Coconut Mall and New York Minute, I don't like them very much because they are these like runner courses where you can't come back if you get destroyed early on. Now, Waluigi Pinball is kind of the same, but I don't know. It's a long course and it's also fun. Like the lines are a lot of fun to learn, and they're definitely more fun, I think, than like New York Minute, for example. Or even like Paris Promenade. I think that Waluigi Pinball is so long, and like Paris Promenade does have some shortcuts, which is why I put it in B tier. But like with Waluigi Pinball, so I'm gonna just come out right now and say that I'm gonna put Waluigi Pinball kind of at the top of C tier here, just because of the fact that with running courses, I just don't like playing them very much, because if you get destroyed by bad luck, which always seems to happen to me, it's very, very hard to come back. But I do think that Waluigi Pinball is actually one of the more fun courses to time trial because it's so long and because it's so complex. And it's a lot of fun to time trial. So if I was ranking based on time trials, I would say it definitely goes like upper B tier, maybe even A tier. But just in terms of playing online, I can't justify putting it much higher than C tier just because there's like literally no shortcuts. There's like nothing you can do to come back if you get destroyed. But it is so much fun to play that I cannot see myself putting it anywhere than the very top of C tier. Moving on to Sydney Sprint. So if you kind of gathered from my Staff Ghost video, you might realize that I really enjoy this course. This is another one where I'm just gonna put the ranking like straight up. Like this is definitely like S tier course. This is easily my favorite out of all the DLC tracks so far, and honestly, it might be one of my favorite courses in the entire game. Like I think that I would, if anything is going to supplant Wildwoods as my favorite, it's gonna be Sydney Sprint. And I have kind of a mouthful as to why on this. So first of all, the music in Sydney Sprint is just like so good. I don't know what it is about like the sax player, but they definitely got the same guy that they got for Dolphin Shoals, and you can tell that he just had such a good time putting the music together for Sydney Sprint. Like it just sounds, it's so feel good that when you're playing it, this is the music that I was dancing to is for my basic jam emote, where it's like you can't have Sydney Sprint playing in the background and not just want to get into it and dance along to the music. It's so good, and it makes you feel so happy to play it. You just feel like you're at a party, right? It's very uplifting, just like Dolphin Shoals. The other thing is that the course just looks really cool. Like I think it's probably like my favorite city course, just in terms of like how it's designed. It doesn't look really janky. It looks fun. And you do a lot of actual driving on the course as well. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of, it's like, I wouldn't say there's like a lot of really complicated techniques, but there's a lot of like interesting lines you need to learn how to take. And there's a lot of like going back and forth between drifting like left and right. And it sort of keeps your hands busy without being a real hand destroying course. And it's just, it feels really fun, especially like, so one thing that I mentioned a lot when I was actually learning the track is there's this bit on section 2, right around where the mushroom shortcut is at on 150cc, where you're doing these turns around these kind of the gray paths. And it feels exactly like something out of Trackmania. For those who don't know what Trackmania is, it's another racing game that's like, it's like Formula One racing, and it's a very fun game. But the turns on Sydney Sprint remind me a lot of the Trackmania turns, and it's just like, it feels so satisfying when you hit those lines properly. So it definitely is like one of my favorite courses to actually drive on as well. And if I had like only one thing to complain about, I would say that the second glider just kind of sucks because you go up that really like gigantic hill, and it's very hard to actually get that glider properly. There's a video, if I find it, I will I'll overlay it on what I'm talking about right now. But there's a video that I could find, or that I found on Twitter, where it was somebody who essentially was just like spending 20 seconds trying to get onto the glider. And it's just one of these things where it's set up in a really awkward way, but that's really the only thing about the track that I don't like very much. Everything else just is amazing, and I have no other complaints about it. And it's kind of weird to say that because I actually did play Sydney Sprint in Tour, and in Mario Kart Tour, it's just, I thought it was like crazy boring. Like when I heard that Sydney Sprint was coming to 8 Deluxe, I'm like, could they have picked like a worse course to port over here? And then I played it and I'm like, there is no way that this is the same course that I was complaining about when I was playing on Mario Kart Tour. It is just like one of my favorite courses in the game. And I don't think that opinion is going to change with time, just because I have spent a lot of time on this one, and I've played it online a lot as well. And I think that, again, I don't have much else to say. It's just an amazing course, and I think it's definitely my favorite one in the game. So moving on to Snowland. So moving on from Sydney Sprint, which is one course that I really love, to Snowland, which is another course that I really love. So I think the first things first, in my Wave 2 analysis video, I mentioned that I really love the music, and that didn't change when the course came out. So when I actually played it, it's just, I don't know what it is about the winter themed courses, but all the music on all the winter themed courses is just so feel good, and you, it's a different kind of feel good than Sydney Sprint. Like Sydney Sprint just makes you kind of want to dance, but Snowland, you just makes you happy. It just brings your spirits up. I don't know what it is about the music in Snowland, but I really like it a lot. Gameplay wise, Snowland has a really good shortcut. It's not that hard to learn. If you do it correctly, it can shave like 3 seconds off of going around the long way, which is just kind of amazing, to be honest. The fact that it cuts off that much time and is not very hard to pull off is just, it's kind of incredible that exists in this game at all. And there's also like a shroomless version of the shortcut. Not that shortcut in particular, like you can't do that without a mushroom. But if you go around, there's like the last tree. You can do like a shroomless shortcut that's also not very difficult to learn. In my Snowland guide, which will be coming out probably next week, I do provide a little walkthrough on how to do that. But it has a couple of things that you can do, a couple of pretty impactful shortcuts that aren't super hard to learn. And I think one thing that I kind of appreciate about this track is that it's not really hard to learn the lines. Like, it's different from playing a track like, you know, GBA Mario Circuit, where you're on like road the whole time, so the lines you can take are a lot tighter. It is a slippery course. Snowland is a slippery course, so it is a little bit trickier to learn the lines in that sense. But if you have experience with the game, it's pretty easy to pick up. And I think what I appreciate about Snowland is that it feels like a course that is specifically designed to cater to the non-tryhard audience. Like, you don't have to really be that sick nasty at the game to have a good time on this course. And so I appreciate that, especially because Snowland is the tutorial that I'm putting together after Mushroom Gorge, which should be coming out tomorrow. And Mushroom Gorge destroyed my hands enough that any sort of reprieve from that is appreciated. And so Snowland was a really good one to kind of unwind on. It's a very good course to unwind on when you're playing. So I think that's one reason why I enjoy it so much. But yeah, Snowland, another course. I want to say that I put Snowland, you know, pretty high up on A tier. I really like this course a lot. I think this is probably one of, I don't know if I want to say it's one of my favorite snow-themed courses. I would say that it's definitely below Sherbet Land, but above like Winter Animal Crossing for sure, and above Ice Ice Outpost for sure. So I think that Snowland definitely has earned its spot in A tier. I will put it there, and I think I can defend that with just how fun the course is to play. All right, we are almost done now. Moving on to Mushroom Gorge. Man, do I feel bad about this one. I really want to like this course a lot more than I do, because Mushroom Gorge is actually a lot of fun. And for once, the super bounces actually aren't that annoying to hit. But the course is just so broken, and it is so unsatisfying to time trial and to play online. I really hate it. So let me break down a little bit why exactly this course it just makes me so angry. So the thing is, like I mentioned, it's not even the super bounces that are the problem. Like, the super bounces, they're actually pretty easy to set up for on 150cc, because you can just like drift off these orange boost ramps and you have like more than enough time to hit basically every one. It's the green mushrooms, all of the green mushrooms, that are just, they're so badly designed. So the problem with them is that they're kind of set up like they kind of have this dome shape. And if you drive off them at the wrong angle, or if you drive off them at like the wrong position or the wrong angle, what ends up happening is you just like won't get the trick. And the first green mushroom, it's not that problematic, but for the second set of green mushrooms inside the cave, if you don't get the trick off the second one, it will totally mess up your alignment for doing, if you're time trialing, for example, it'll mess up your alignment for doing the gap jump. And even if you're not doing the gap jump, missing that second trick and assuming that you're going to be able to do the next super bounce, it just costs you like so much time. And I found like so many more of my runs dying to not getting tricks off the green mushrooms than I did on any other part of the track. And the fact that you encounter them so much in the track, it makes it very, very unsatisfying to play on. Now, I do want to not just be totally negative, because there are some things that I do enjoy about the course. Like I said, the super bounces, this is the one example of a course where the super bounces are not only like pretty easy to pull off, but it also feels very satisfying to get them because they save so much time. So when you get a super bounce, it feels very awesome to do. The other thing is that there's the gap jump at the end, which is the fence jump version is very difficult to get consistently, but if you're just going for the non-fence jump version, it's pretty easy actually. It's I wouldn't say it's free, but there is a pretty consistent setup for it. So, and it makes it a lot of fun. So there are a lot of things about the course that are very fun to play. It's just the fact that it all gets ruined by these damn green mushrooms that just ruin your day. If I had to put Mushroom Gorge somewhere, I think I'm putting it at the top of D tier maybe. It's bad, but it's not bad for the same reasons that Coconut Mall and Choco Mountain are bad. Like Choco Mountain is just really boring, but Coconut Mall and Mushroom Gorge are both like very broken, and that's why they're here. Like, why are people picking these broken ass courses? Mushroom Gorge, I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm actually just going to create a whole new tier just for Mushroom Gorge, because it doesn't really belong with these other courses that aren't just like utterly broken. It's like a broken ass course that's still fun to play on. So it's like it doesn't ruin my day, but I'm gonna say, you know what, you're so broken that you don't deserve to go into C tier. So we're gonna create a brand new tier just for Mushroom Gorge. Maybe if other courses go in there in the future, we'll see. But you know what, Mushroom Gorge, you go there because I like you a lot, but you don't deserve a higher spot than this. So my apologies to anybody who I've offended with that hot take. All right, moving on to the very last track in the Wave 2 of the DLC, Sky High Sundae. If you followed me on Twitter, if you're not following me on Twitter, first of all, go ahead and do that, because I post a lot of updates there. For example, when I go live or when I release new YouTube videos. But if you have been following me on Twitter, you would already know I really hate this course, dude. Like, and it's so sad too, because when I first heard the music, I had a whole not really rant, but a whole all this expository dialogue on like how much I loved the music of Sky High Sundae, and you got that sick bass line. It's so cool. And then I play the course and I'm like, why is this course so aggressively boring? It doesn't fit with the music at all. It's like, you know, it's like, I hate making the Excite Bike comparison because I know that that's like overplayed, but it's like if you took Excite Bike, made it anti-grav, made it twice as long, and had half as much stuff to do. You're just not doing anything except pressing the R or ZR button to just trick all the time. And that's literally all you're doing. There's no shortcuts you can take, no comeback potential whatsoever. If you get hit on that course from the start, you're totally screwed. It's even worse than N64 Rainbow Road, because at least on N64 Rainbow Road, you're going like, you're not just turning one direction. You're like going right a little bit, you're going left a little bit. There's some stuff where you can kind of hang off the track, but you can't even really hang off the track safely on this course because of the fact that they decided to add F-Zero physics for whatever reason. Now on 200cc, I guess it's okay because there's that cool little shortcut you can do which cuts off like a bunch of time, but on 150 you can't really do it that well, and it just, all it does is screw you up, especially in the stair section. So if you'll remember, in my Wave 1 or my Wave 2 analysis video, I pointed out a specific clip on the Sky High Sundae portion of the Nintendo Direct announcement where I think it was Peach just got launched up off the stairs, and I was like, yeah, that's going to be really awful. And this was before I knew that they were going to have F-Zero physics. So when I saw the F-Zero physics, I was just like, this is going to be a nightmare. But yeah, this course, it just, you know, I wanted to like it because of how cool the music is and because it does look really good, but it is definitely like the most boring track in the game. And I'm putting it like I'm putting it like worse than Toad's Turnpike in that regard. This is the only DLC course so far that I would say goes in this actual trash tier. If you look at my full track ranking, it would go, so the only courses I have here are Excite Bike Arena, N64 Rainbow Road, Toad's Turnpike, and Baby Park. And I would say that the only course that this probably doesn't, the only course this goes above is probably Baby Park. This is definitely one of my least favorite tracks in the game. That opinion might change with some more experience on it, but so far, I just do not have a good time on this track at all. So that's going to be it for my Wave 2 track ranking video, everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for that follow. But thank you very much for watching, and let me know down in the comments how offended you were by these hot takes of mine. And I also have a link to my actual tier maker setup in the description. So feel free to make your own and go hop into my Discord, which is also linked in the description. So go create your own tier maker track ranking video or track ranking setup and post it in the Discord so we can all fight over how bad everybody's opinions are. But like I said, that's going to be it for me for today, everyone. So thank you very much for hanging out, and thank you very much for sticking with me through all this, and I will see you all in the next video. Alright, so before we go, I've played a lot of online since I recorded this footage, and a lot of my rankings have changed since then. You can see an updated tier list right over here. First things first, I moved a lot of tracks into B tier, specifically Tokyo Blur, Shroom Ridge, and Snowland. While I think these tracks are still a lot of fun to play, in my opinion, Tokyo Blur doesn't give you enough to do with items, and Snowland and Shroom Ridge are both way too dependent on items to determine the outcome of a race, so that's why I moved them down a little bit. Finally, I moved Waluigi Pinball from C tier down into D tier because after time trialing this track and playing it online a bit more, I realized the cycles are a hell of a lot more annoying than I originally thought they were. So yeah, there you have it. There's my track ranking video. Thank you all very much for being so patient with this. I know it took a lot longer to come out than I originally wanted it to, but I hope that it was worth the wait. Again, let me know down in the comments what you thought about my rankings, and if there's anything that you agree with, or if you have any hard disagrees, that's probably going to be a lot more interesting and open things up for a lot more discussion. And lastly, I wanted to thank you all. I really do appreciate the time that you've taken out of your day to watch this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, everyone.